Canada's largest grocers are under the gun and have been in intense scrutiny. While Canada has been grappling with rising food prices, some have accused our major grocers of profiteering. But one of Canada's leading food scholars, Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, has told a House of Commons committee that there is no evidence of profiteering within the food retail industry in Canada, and highlighted that the government should be more concerned with price coordination within the industry. Joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, Director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Sylvain, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Can you elaborate on why, in your view, there isn't evidence of profiteering? Because this is a claim that we see made quite frequently, both in Ottawa and elsewhere.
Yeah, well, to point fingers at grocers is a very easy thing to do. When you politicize the issue of food inflation, that is what you get. And so we often see economists look at StatsCan's data to suggest that there is profiteering going on. There's none, because we actually looked at the three companies' financial statements. So Empire, Sobeys, Loblaws, and Metro, and all three of them have had very consistent gross margins over the last 5 years. And you want to look at gross margins because it is basically revenues minus the cost of goods. So if that increases, that's an indicator perhaps companies are charging way more than they used to relative to the cost of the goods they're selling to you and I. And that hasn't grown at all. The other metric that we've been looking at is same store sales growth. And so that's another indicator. If that's above food inflation, with food sales in particular, that's when you'll see perhaps some abuse. I mean, they're probably charging more and they're making more money selling food. But those three companies are quite diversified. They're not just selling food, they sell other things. But when it comes to food, there's just no apparent indication that they are profiteering.
And so what is contributing to the increase in profits then? Because that seems to be what everybody's focused on, is the fact that
Yep.
they are making more money. What is it that they're selling that they're making more money on if it's not food?
So when you look at Loblaws, for example, Shoppers is Loblaws bank, really. It is making a lot of money selling prescription drugs, for example, and cosmetics. I'm not sure if you knew, David, but when you sell a bottle of Chanel No. 5, Loblaws will make probably 95% of that money you give to Loblaws, they keep. So margins are quite substantial for Loblaws. So that's really why we need to be careful here when we accuse a company of profiteering. The other issue, of course, are nominal dollars. Profits go up naturally. That's how inflation works. So if you look at dollar, if you look at amounts, you are expecting companies to make more money year to year.
And you mentioned in committee that price coordination may be a problem. Can you elaborate on what exactly that means and where we're seeing it?
This is the exact reason why we need to put to bed this profiteering debate, because I think there are worse problems affecting the industry. And you just mentioned the very one problem that I think needs to be addressed, and that's price coordination. And we've seen several cases where price coordination is a problem, starting with the bread price fixing scandal. The investigation is still ongoing it started in 2015. It's been 9 years. We still have 4 companies under investigation by the Bureau. The blackout period from November to February, grocers asked suppliers to freeze prices for 3 months. I've outlined to the committee on Tuesday that actually this is not helping consumers. People hear about price freezes, and they think it helps consumers. It's actually the opposite. Prices are much more volatile between November and February each year. It needs to stop, and that's price coordination up the food chain. And finally, the Loblaw 50% fiasco a few weeks ago, they basically wanted to eliminate the 50% to align itself with the competition. And then they didn't even thought twice about how people would perceive that announcement. So you can see that really there is a price fixing culture, an issue that needs to be addressed by the Bureau and the government.
Sylvain, thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure.